Did I tell you about the time that I passed out? What's up, good people? My name is Stacy, and yeah, I recently passed out. It was for about 2 or 3 seconds, and I tell you, it was not pleasant. I was very fortunate though. My husband was there, and while I'm sure he didn't appreciate getting taken to the ground with me, at least we were one in the house on carpet, and neither of us hurt ourselves or anything. But it definitely gave us a little bit of a scare. Ultimately, I ended up spending the rest of the day in a combination of urgent care and emergency room before they eventually let me go home, which I was definitely happy to be able to go home that day. They ran all sorts of different tests, x-rays, blood work, urine analysis, a frontal x-ray, a side x-ray. They never could find anything that they felt was remotely conclusive as to, why I had a fainting spell. And it definitely caused me to concern to think about, well, will it happen again? I was only passed out for a couple of seconds tops, 2 or 3 seconds. What concerned me is that, well, will it happen again? You know, I had that feeling on other occasions. I just didn't know what it was. I had never passed out before or had that type of sensation or anything. I had a similar feeling a couple of weeks earlier at work. And so I was looking kind of for them to find something when I went into the ER myself. Not because I wanted there to be something, except I did at least want to answer, right? Like we want to know or feel like there's something that we can control or do to make things happen or not happen. And so every time they came back and asked a different question or to give me different results, I was eagerly waiting and hearing it to hear them tell me something, that, oh, well, this is high or this is low or you need to do more of this. And I already have a cardiologist, so they actually asked me if I wanted to stay to meet with a cardiologist in the morning, and I was like, no, I would like to go home. I don't want to be here. See you guys. I'm going home. Yes, I'm going home. I can't be here anymore. As I'm going through in my mind through my medical history and all the different things that I've been through, I'm thinking like, I thought I asked the right questions. I thought I was standing up for myself. I challenged all the medications and different things, but that's the only thing that's changed recently is they added a cholesterol medication. My LDL, HDL, triglycerides, all sorts of stuff have been fine. Within acceptable ranges, nothing even on the border or anything like that. So I started feeling some kind of way. But part of the story that you may not know is that earlier this year, it was discovered that I have significant blockages in my carotid arteries on the left and the right side, which interestingly enough was first kind of identified by my dentist. I know, the dentist is now determining that you got clogged arteries. Well, in my routine x-ray, they saw something on it that didn't look right to them, so they recommended I take the x-ray to my primary care. I did that. My primary care then referred me to get an ultrasound on my neck, and once I did that, it was back to see a cardiologist that I had went to see a couple years back because there was some concerns about an irregular or abnormal EKG that I had, and so I was like, hey, I'm back. And he's like, well, anything wrong? Chest pains, this, that, and the other? I'm like, nope. I was like, but it turns out apparently my arteries are significantly clogged. And he's like, oh, okay then, right? And so we discussed different options and different things. Fortunately, I'm not at the point of needing surgery. But again, I got questions. Like, what are the next steps and all these other kind of things? And so by the time I said, okay, we'll take that medicine and whatnot. I looked through common side effects and things like that, and I was trying to figure out, if I was experiencing any of those symptoms. And when I felt the way that I felt before I fainted, when I felt that way previously, I don't know, I just wrote it off. I was like, oh man, I maybe I didn't eat enough at lunch, maybe my blood sugar dropped or something, because unfortunately I'm notorious for not eating regularly enough. And I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I think I'm doing much, much better. But I just never been much of an eater. I can go a whole day and not eat. I don't really care about food. I know it's weird. Now, if it's in front of me, I will eat it. I like food. It's just that I always find myself focused on something else. And I generally don't have an appetite. But I digress. Having taken these medicines, I'm pretty sure that it's having an interaction with some of the other medicines. And so to say other medicines makes me feel like, I have to give you some backstory on that as well. So up until a couple of years ago, I was not diabetic. I did not have high blood pressure, and I did not have cholesterol issue. In my mind, it's still debatable whether any of those three things are true. After going back and forth and struggling and doing what I thought was good self-advocacy for myself with my medical team, I finally conceded to taking like the lowest dose of like all three of those medicines. So I have something for diabetes, something for blood pressure, and most recently something for cholesterol. And so I don't know if that interaction caused me to have issues or what, right? And I have questions, right? And it really got me to thinking, like I said, about self-advocacy as a whole. I've been kind of fighting, and this just feels like fighting with medical professionals for years because, again, part of the backstory, about 10 years or so ago, I started having mobility issues. My leg just would give out on me, and I've had them look at my back. I've had, all sorts of different scans and tests and pokes and more than I care to enumerate. And yet there's still not really been many answers. Along with the knee support given out, it also came with swelling. So my entire calf, foot, and ankle would swell, so much so that some days I couldn't even get my shoes on. And so I went to the doctor like, hey, doc, I'm pretty sure consistent, swelling is a bad thing. And they're like, right? And so again, for the past 10 years, I've been trying to tell them, let's do this, let's do that. Can you help me with the pain? Can you help me with the mobility challenges and things of that nature? And we never got around to that. And so I found myself getting a little annoyed, right? Because again, I think I'm advocating for myself. I think I'm doing the right things. But again, I'm no medical professional. I can only say and ask for what I have limited capacity to know about, right? I've found a lot of really cool, interesting videos on YouTube, and I'm sure my doctor is tired of me coming in with, hey, I saw this online. Is this a thing? Can we try this? But it doesn't seem like anybody else is making me the number one priority, right? To try to figure out what's going on, because I know that walking is a good thing to do for your cardiovascular health. I know it's a good thing to do as we get older, and it's just the natural order of things, right? Our bodies change, and we have to start taking care of them differently. I understand that. But when you talk about a decade that I've been struggling with some of these things, and so now finally that I'm kicking 50 in the butt, they're like, oh yeah, you're almost, there. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, because I've been in pain for 10 years. That's got to be a bad thing, right? Because my leg has been swollen for, 7.5 years. That's got to be a bad thing. Right? And we've never addressed that head on. It always becomes this big distraction. If I can't walk, then how do we come up with some alternatives? Right? Like what are the other options? And if everything that I've done, hasn't changed anything, again, I don't know how to answer is just, well, hey, just get on drugs. Because the problem is that the medications haven't helped either. It would be different if I, after conceding to taking these medicines, actually felt better. But I don't. In some ways, I feel worse. And most recently, I feel like the interactions may have caused me to pass out. So, what are we really talking about? So, I just want to encourage anybody who's going through any number of things, right? Honestly, it doesn't have to just be your medical journey. It can be in personal relationships, and that could be romantic or friendships or family, any of those type of things. It could be in your career, right? Because What happens when self-advocacy fails? When you quote unquote done the right things and asked the right questions and positioned yourself in your truth and in the truth, and you still find yourself falling short, not having the answers you need, not having what you really want. What happens when self-advocacy fails? At that point, honestly, it just takes finding even more support. And that could come in the form of something written, right? Like an article or getting a second opinion, and because I'm mainly talking about, medically, right? But even in your career, finding somebody that can advocate for you, right? So that it's not only self-advocacy, but you have a partner in it, which is why when I first selected my primary care doctor, I said, hey, I'm looking for somebody to partner with me in my health care. Like, is that something we can do? Or are you just going to tell me what to do and, whatever? And it's largely been what I feel like is a decent relationship. But again, my quality of life hasn't improved. Now I just have a bunch of co-pays and still feel like trash. So I feel like I may be at a point where I need to hit another brand new round of doctors and try again, right? To see if I can try to get any kind of answers, because the other part of when self-advocacy isn't working is you can't give up. Like, do not give up, because nobody can do it for you like you can. But if you can find alliances, find other folks, like I said, get a second opinion at the doctor, find a sponsor or a mentor or something at work, try some different approaches with your friend circle or your family, again, to make sure that, not that you're just heard, right? Because I've been complimented for my resilience and for advocating, and everybody wants to pat me on the back for different things, but if I still not reaching my goals, I'm not satisfied. Like, it might be even inspirational to somebody else. Man, look what she keeps pushing and keeps trying. I'm trying to accomplish things. The pat on the back is not what I'm after. I'm after results. And so we can't give up. Keep looking, keep trying, but also don't let it run you ragged, because I feel like it can also be a distraction, right? Where you almost can let it become the only thing that you see, right? And that'll steal joy from you in a minute. Don't let this sort of stuff steal your joy, right? Because sometimes it could be a test, and sometimes it's a trial. But in all cases, we are meant to get through. We are meant to survive it. So that's just a little something I wanted to share. I'll probably get into some things about, my health journey in future videos. Because like I said, I have been struggling with a lot of things for quite a few years now. And I hope that it helps somebody else. Really encourages you to keep pushing, right? And in some cases, I may be talking to those advocates for somebody else, because it really does get exhausting, and it can eat up so much of everything. Right now, I feel like trying to take care of my health is a full-time job, but I already have a full-time job. I don't have another 40 hours this week to try to dedicate to running my business. I don't have an additional 40 hours to try to, remodel my house. There's just so many things to do, right? And so we have to get good at balance and prioritization, and really finding good, strong ways to be honest with ourselves. Find those things that fill your cup as well, Honestly, making videos for you guys helps to fill my cup, because, like I said, I hope I'm helping somebody. I'm hoping that even if it's 3 or 4 years down the line and somebody stumbles across one of my YouTube videos, I just hope that it helps. I hope that it inspires. I hope that it encourages, and it's just a little piece that I'm gonna do to try to put back into my cup. You can like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I'm not that kind of polished yet. And so I wanted to go ahead and get this video out instead of trying to make it perfect. I have that trait as well. I can be a little bit of an overachiever. And so I do actually hope that the videos get better. I'll find a better corner with my appropriate 3-point lighting. And right now, this is what you get because I think somebody needs it. So, peace and love. Don't forget, my name is Stacy, and I will catch you guys next time.